The greatest scientists are categorically insane. And I'm going to be explaining why. In order to succeed and to win in life, you have to flirt with insanity. I'm going to talk about the difference between insanity and chaos. Crazy video, but this is where we're at, okay? So in terms of insanity, the definition of being insane is doing the exact same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And yet, that is the fundamental thing that scientists do. You run experiments over and over, a lot of times, because there is a 5% chance of the thing that you're trying to make happen. So you have to do it 100 times, however many times, in order to hopefully get at least a couple of results. And as science progresses, the ideas of the things you'd have to consider for this become more and more insane. The questions that people ask, or the number of times people think they can run something, and this drives people into insanity. But interestingly, this is what's bringing the greatness out of scientists, because they are pursuing something, they're prepared to push the boundaries, and they're prepared to go outside of the popular way of thinking and what has been previously believed, and believe even deeper. So an example of this in particular is exactly what I was telling you guys about with Georges Lemaitre, the one who is the father of, could be called the father of the Big Bang Theory, because he was the scientist that discovered that the universe was expanding, not static and not contracting. And this was important because at the time, all the scientists prior had believed that the universe was static. So this is like, if everybody publicly believes, and this is what I'm saying about being a winner in life and what you can learn from this. What this is saying is, you as a scientist look like an absolute Looney Tune to the other scientists, because it's like, but we know that it's static. And he's like, but what if it's not? And they're like, but we know that it's static. And he's like, but what if it's not, right? And so he looks insane, whoever this scientist is, right? And that's exactly what it is like in life to win. With winning, there's always an element of like having to push beyond things that feel right at the time in winning, because you have to keep expanding yourself. You have to allow yourself to expand your knowledge, to expand your way of thinking. That's why, as somebody who wants to be intelligent, one must be an open-minded person, a free thinker, right? Because if you can only think in your way of thinking, you're going to completely limit yourself to the world. And it's one of the reasons why I try to expose myself to as much just information and knowledge about places all over the world, because I feel like there's all these different intelligences and things that I can see that might inform the way that I look at the world and might give me a more expanded idea of things. And I do believe that's how I come to a lot of my conclusions as well that I talk about, right? So in order to get there, though, you have to flirt with insanity. You have to ask some pretty crazy questions, in order to get to those answers. And you have to be prepared for what comes with that, which is that people are literally going to think you're insane, because by definition you are insane, right? Now, towing that line can be tough, because what you see with people who are not of God, when they get into that kind of malarkey, because they don't have something to stop them when it's time to remember that knowledge is infinite and we will never be able to understand everything, that's what God does. He helps to rein it in so you don't actually become insane. That's why, like I've said, there's so many scientists had just really strange habits. They were really obsessed with their work, died for their work. Like, for example, Mary Curie, which she might not have known this, but, I just found out the other day that the books that she worked on are still too radioactive even for anybody to be around, just as the place she was taking notes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, scientists really expose themselves to some pretty insane stuff for the sake of science. That's why a lot of people in science become almost lifeless when they the higher they go, because human being bodies, just to a lot of scientists, are genuinely just a cadaver, like they say in the shows, like in Grey's Anatomy, right? This body, what are we going to do with it? And what can I learn? What can I gain? You know what I'm saying? That's what's insane about the science community, right? And so, I thought of a really extreme example, but I don't want to I don't want to scare anybody off today. But they have to flirt with this insanity, this thing of like, what you're doing, other people don't like it. Now, I'm not going to judge whether I think the things that they're doing is good or bad. I'm just saying that as a whole, they have to take themselves to a place that other people are unwilling to go, and that costs for them to be considered as insane. And now, obviously, with God, because you go without God, it just goes off the rails, and then you just start finding yourself over in Satanism and just losing your mind altogether, actually going insane, right? But with God, obviously, God is the one. And I know, because I'll be going off on my scientific journeys, and then God will be like, halt, well, let's stop here, because if we continue past this point, you're going to go insane. I'm like, okay, cool. But you still have to toy with that. Because even if you think about people in the world who are like really well known and famous, like think about Kanye West, for example. People are offended by him. They think he's really arrogant and whatnot, which I don't think he is. And I'll tell you why I don't. I think that if you want something in life, you have to be the person that's sure it's going to happen, because you can't rely on anybody else to tell you that. Heck, God is trying to tell us that, but we don't even let God in, right? But you have to believe that it's there, yours for the taking, right? Because, whatever. So when I hear things that Kanye West says, I don't think he sounds insane. I don't think anything he says sounds crazy. I think people that are listening to him have their own closed-minded viewpoint that they lack the ability to stop and just listen to what the man actually said. And like, I'm not trying to say that I agree with everything Kanye West says or does, because I'm absolutely not saying that. What I'm saying is, he is where he is because he thinks like that, because he's the one who has the resolve to say, well, I want this for myself, and I'm gonna have this for myself, and it's gonna be me. Yeah, I'm yay. He just does it because he knows, because that's what's required, guys. For somebody to even dream of going to the Olympics is obnoxious, isn't it? Right? It's an obnoxious goal. I want to go to the Olympics one day. A lot of people will be looking at you like, that's never gonna happen. You're insane. Are you seeing what I'm saying? But the people who are insane enough to make those decisions, look where they're at. They be Olympic athletes. They be Olympic athletes. So part of winning in life is about, there is a need to flirt with insanity a little bit, to get yourself to think and to expand your viewpoint, to go further, to be able to win, because that's exactly how you're winning. You're the one person willing to believe that there is something else, or there is greater, or that you can do it. Because this is why I think we make the world really simple. If you've got a room of people, and these people, let's say they're all the same age. We found a group of people, all the same age, all the same height and weight, right? Let's just imagine that, right? We won't specify. Let's say, for the sake of the argument's sake, let's say they're all men, right? If this happens, right, and they say, guys, whoever turns out to be the strongest here, who finishes to the end, wins, right? If 99 people in that room immediately decide, oh, I'm not even going to bother to try because there's no way I'm going to win, that one person who just believed that they could and went for it anyway is going to win. That's how it works. Like, that's how these things work. That one person who decided, that's all that it takes. That's why when people don't bust up, in my opinion, to win and take hold of your wins and start talking about the things you want to do with conviction and belief, I'm like, literally, there's so many people who don't even have that in them to do that there's so much less, there's not even competition anyway, because I believe there's room at the top for everybody. I truly believe that. But like, there's less competition because some people have just written themselves off altogether. And this happens all over the world, that people just write themselves off completely. And a lot of it is to do with school. And that's why I'm very passionate about the education system, because I believe it breaks the spirits of everybody, like people's spirit. And it's sad because I meet so many people, so talented, so many great things that they have, but the framework from which they were thinking in was as if they were to try those things, they would be seeing themselves as insane in a way, so that's just it. I can give you an example with one of my own students, actually, because when I started working with her, I remember she decided to continue doing maths, even though her school was telling her, like, we don't think you should do maths, like, we don't think you have it in you. And that's horrible to be told in school, but whatever. If they just wanted to tell her the honest truth, that's understandable. But she is amazing at maths. Like, she's incredibly good. Like, incredibly good. Like, probably the best of all the kids I've taught ever at maths. She's really good, and she, like, to the point that I actually think that her mathematical brain is quicker than mine, which rarely happens with the kids. I'm not gonna lie, like, actually the first time it's happened, where I'm like, wow, your brain, like, is going quicker than even my brain. Okay, because my brains, they function in a certain way. They just need to be given the information. That's the way. That's my job as a teacher. I give you the information, but the machine is already in there. You know what I'm saying? So again, her teachers might consider her insane. Heck, she might consider her insane. Her friends, whatever. But guess what? She's thriving now. She's thriving over there because she was insane enough to try it. And now let's talk about chaos. Because this is why I want to decipher the difference between these extremely deep and powerful types of words. Because chaos is kind of like the ride of the devil through life. It is, if you just decide to just have chaos everywhere, things will kind of work out for you in a lot of ways, but it will be because of the chaos. The chaos is the energy source for what you're doing. So you have to create chaos. That means you don't get to live in like functionality, order, and peace and love. You have to live in hatred. You have to live in like betrayal. You have to live in dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? That's what you have to live in. But if you live in that, there are some benefits you'll get along the way. And this is what people do, because all that people are doing at the toppest level of the kingdom of darkness in the world, as far as the humans who are doing this, is they've just given into chaos the most. They've just, like, in the same way that I'm telling you guys about this insanity argument, which is a different thing to chaos, right? With the chaos thing, if you just give yourself into chaos, like you just let chaos overtake you completely. That's why I do think we should think of sometimes about the idea of the spirits. Like, think of you giving yourself to the spirit of chaos, right? You have allowed the spirit of chaos to reside completely in your body. That's what I look at for the likes of people like Bill Gates, by the way. Bill Gates is high up there for me in these types of people, right? You have to create utter chaos, and you will only be there as long as you're creating the chaos, because that is your energy source. Your energy source is the chaos itself. It's not believing in the things of God. It's not believing in the principles of order that can bring you success, right? Which includes flirting with insanity, right? Because it's insane for you to even believe, a lot of things. But you have to give yourself into chaos, and that's what deciphers the world. A lot of people, the average, if we had like the bell-shaped curve, for goodness sake, the bell-shaped curve, right? I feel like a lot of people are just mid-level of those two sides. Like, not maybe a little bit giving into a bit of chaos, but also is trying to, do better and whatever. And it's literally like the more you give into either side, the more you're going to get. And that's why you have people, extremely successful people of God, who have functional families, who are happy, who have wealth for generations, who have businesses, who have all these things. They're talented, they're thriving, they're enjoying life, and they're enjoying doing what they're doing. This is because they've given themselves to God. And what God has, to believe that God can do what he can, is insanity itself, right? Because like, how can you believe? How is that possible? There's no way. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that a woman gets pregnant at 100 years old, like Sarah in the Bible, and she was barren. It doesn't happen. She's barren. No. What if she isn't? So people are like, the hell just happened? Sarah herself in the Bible was like, she ain't even believe it. She's all telling Abraham, yeah, can you please impregnate my servant here? All for her to banish the servant and the kid afterwards, because she didn't want them to steal from her own son. It's all very interesting reading the Bible. But that is, that's God showing off that he does. That's why he does the supernatural things, because it's like, it's a different system to the world. The world system is chaos. The world system is thrive through chaos. God's system is have faith in me. Have faith that I am who I say that I am. Have faith that it's actually true. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the difference between insanity versus chaos. And why insanity left alone without God will lead you into chaos. Because that's what happens with these scientists. They become completely obsessed. Every other part of their life starts to fall away because, you know what I mean? And they end up doing things like where they never left their whatever room for 3 days and didn't sleep for 5 weeks because they were trying to get to this equation. Their family haven't seen them. They are not eating properly. They're wasting away. They haven't had any sunlight. You know what I'm saying? They're completely obsessing over it. They're creating chaos now in their own life. Their body itself is going through chaos from lack of nutrients, from wasting away, from being frail, from not having fresh air or getting sunlight and all those different types of things. And that's why it literally, once again, in every argument, God wins the argument. God wins takes the cake. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got to say on this. I don't know when you guys watch this, but if it's during the Christmas holidays or during between New Year's, happy holidays to everybody. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I love you guys so dearly. God bless every single one of you, because if life's a game, let's play to win, guys. Let's, allow the Lord to show us the areas where we need to believe in things that seem insane, but that He wants to do for us, and He wants to show us, He wants to do for us. Yeah, and let's not give in to chaos, because it only gets more chaotic. And the final destination of chaos itself is hell, because that is hell. Hell is just total chaos, isn't it? That's all it is, total chaos. That's what I believe. Heaven is total order and perfection, and hell is just total chaos. So we really do choose which path we walk down in our life, because we're really choosing which path, because we're really walking down it. No one's forcing us. We're doing it ourselves. We're making our own decision. And on that note, I love you guys dearly, and I'll see you in my next one.